Hey there. Today, I want to talk to you about something that can feel really uncomfortable to discuss, but it's something that's really important for our lives. We're going to talk about adultery, but I don't want you to get scared or worried. We're going to dive deeper into what it means and what Jesus teaches us about it. When we hear the word adultery, we often think of someone cheating on their spouse, but Jesus actually talks about it in a bigger way. He focuses not just on the action, but on our hearts and our thoughts. And that's what I want to share with you today. 1. What does the Bible say about adultery? Let's start with the basics. In the Bible, adultery is when someone who is married has sex with someone who isn't their spouse. It's a big deal because it breaks trust and the covenant of marriage. But then, Jesus comes in and says something that completely shifts how we think about this. In Matthew 5 verses 27 to 28, he says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not commit adultery.' But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Jesus wasn't just talking about the act of adultery. He was talking about our thoughts and desires. Jesus says that even thinking about someone in a way that isn't pure is just as wrong as actually doing it. 2. Why does Jesus care about our hearts? Now, you might be thinking, why does Jesus care about what's going on in my heart or my head? Isn't it just about what I do? Well, Jesus knew that what we think and feel affects what we do. If our hearts are filled with impure thoughts, eventually, those thoughts can lead to actions. Here's an example. Imagine you're really mad at someone, and you start thinking about how you could get back at them or hurt them. If you don't stop those thoughts, they can lead to you actually doing something hurtful. Jesus is saying that our hearts matter. What we think, how we feel, and where we let our minds go is important because it's the starting point for what we do. So, when Jesus says not to commit adultery, he's not just saying, don't sleep around. He's also saying, protect your heart and mind, because that's where everything begins. 3. What about people who mess up? Now, you might be thinking, well, this sounds really hard. I've had some wrong thoughts or feelings. Does that mean I'm done for? Here's the good news. Jesus doesn't just leave us there. In the story of the woman caught in adultery, Jesus shows us a different way. The woman was caught in the act of adultery, and the people who brought her to Jesus were ready to stone her. But Jesus didn't condemn her. Instead, he said, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." One by one, the crowd left, and Jesus told the woman, "Go now and leave your life of sin." This shows us that Jesus offers forgiveness, no matter what. Grace is the key. Even if we mess up, Jesus is ready to forgive and help us start fresh. But he doesn't just want us to stay in our sin, he wants us to change and live differently. 4. How do we live this out? So, how do we live this out in our daily lives? It starts with understanding that purity matters, not just the physical stuff, but what's going on in our hearts and minds. We need to be careful what we watch, what we listen to, and who we hang out with because these things shape how we think. But don't get discouraged. When we make mistakes, God offers us grace. We don't have to stay stuck in our sin. We can always come back to him, ask for forgiveness, and start fresh. The key is to live with a pure heart and to guard your mind and body. Remember, it's not just about following rules, it's about protecting the love and the relationship we have with God and others. Conclusion. In the end, Jesus isn't about just keeping us from doing the bad stuff, he's about transforming our hearts. When we follow Jesus, he gives us the strength to live in a way that honors him, with pure hearts and clean hands. So, whether you're 8th grade or 80 years old, Jesus calls us to a life of purity, and when we mess up, his grace is there to lift us back up.